let's go ahead and start digging right into it because this first on Tuesday, you know, and this is a good, this is one of them weeks right now that not only was it eventful because it was some funny stuff going on, it was some interesting things said in court, but also a lot of dots were connected. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of people, if you were confused about anything, some things you got answers on. You might have been left more confused just because of the fact that, now it's even more confusing what the state is doing, right? It's even like it's very confusing. But you can make some big conclusions though. So now Tuesday started out with a man named Investigator. Well, he was there last week. Darren Smith. He was an investigator, Darren Smith, and he was the crime scene technician we talked about, or he was leading the crime scene technician. So he pretty much went out there, gathered all this information about the crime scene, and everything that he talked about was all just evidence marking and evidence collecting and all that type of stuff. He didn't have really any information about the people involved at all. He didn't really know anything about that. He just came up there to just say, hey, I found gunshots over here. I found shell casings over here. I found blood right here, T-shirt right here. That was all the type of stuff he was talking about. He wasn't the type of witness that was there for like anything to help out with this conviction. And really, he took a lot of time for no reason because they knew that this investigator, Darren Smith, had to leave. He had to go on a vacation or wherever he was going. So the state pretty much took the entire Tuesday almost and asking him questions about each individual like bullet that they found. I'm like, I don't understand why they're wasting everybody's time like this. None of this helps with the conviction. They just going through every single shred of detail about the evidence that they found. And it was a waste of time to me. I wouldn't be surprised if the jury forgot everything that man said immediately upon saying it. Before we go any further, please like the video. Please share this video. Please comment your thoughts in the chat and also subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed now. Going on, I would be surprised if the jury remembered anything that man said because it was just on and on and on about each little minute detail involved at the scene of the crime. I don't understand the purpose of it. But I mean, shout out to them for thinking that they did something with that one. I think it was a waste of time. Let's see. Shard got up there on cross-examination with this guy, Darren Smith, and he pretty much just said, Darren Smith, being the crime scene technician, didn't even collect any video footage. He was just there. He didn't see anything. Pretty much is what Max Shard was trying to establish. So he was just pointless, essentially. Weinstein and Attorney Matthews, they asked him a couple questions, not really anything relevant to anything except their own client and making sure you didn't see this or any. Brian Steele and Keith Adams, they didn't even cross-examine this guy. It was just so not pointing to anything. They didn't even need to ask him any questions. So next up, we get a barber with we get a witness with a little bit of substance in his testimony. We get a man named Hubbard Parker, right? And he was a barber. He actually owned the barber shop that Nutt was killed in front of, right? That Donovan Thomas was killed in front of. And I might switch back and forth between saying Nutt and Donovan Thomas. I really don't know what the respectful thing is to say about him. Maybe Nutt was like a family nickname, but that's what they keep calling him in his courtroom. So like, I don't know what the respectful name is, but Hubbard Parker was a barber that day. He owned a barbershop. He was there, and he pretty much was there to talk about what he seen, what he heard, what was going on. So he's pretty much like, yes, I knew Nutt. He was like, I knew him briefly. I didn't know him very well, but I knew who he was. People in the neighborhood knew him. He would come next door to the barbershop, and he would be just in the general area all the time, hanging out. Not all the time, but, he would come there frequently and hang out and get his hair cut, and, they would talk, all this type of stuff. So he was there to pretty much just say what he heard, which was he was in there cutting hair, and then he just started hearing shooting. He said at first he thought it was firecrackers. He thought somebody was playing with firecrackers outside, just having fun in the wintertime. It was playoff football going on. So, he thought it was firecrackers, whatever. And I will say this, right? Before I go any further, I will say this. I'm glad that we got to this point in the trial because I was so confused about so many details about this shooting before this week. I thought that there was no witnesses because I swore that that they had no witnesses, but it turns out there was a lot of people out there, a whole lot of people out there. Like a lot of people saw what happened. So that's even more confusing to me. The whole thing just made it even more confusing to me. What's going on? But anyway, there was a lot of people there. So Hubbard Parker is like, yeah, I was there. Shooting started happening, but I don't know what was going on outside because I was just inside the shop, just minding my business, pretty much. So then Attorney Atkins is like, did you call the police? And he was like, no, I didn't call the police. So then, of course, when they ask you a question like that, it's normally because they already know that you did. They just want to lead you to other things. So then I definitely want to play this because I thought it was kind of funny that he said no, and he actually did call the police. What? Let's see here. Let's let the record play.
Because everybody started running outside.
What did you do? Did you run?
Yes. I mean, I ain't run. I just laid got down on the shop.
When you first heard it, were you in the spot of your barbershop that we talked about in the very back?
Yes.
Was there people between you and the front door of your barbershop?
What you mean?
Was there other people in your shop when you heard this?
Sure.
And did you all run towards the back of your shop?
Yes. Well, we all got on the floor in my shop.
Oh.
Now,
let me go forward a little bit,
after
man.
that,
Let's see here.
you ever
Let me go
help
forward a little bit in this thing because this is a long one.
I'm just going to publish a 20-second clip for you.
Got on the floor in my shop.
Now, after that, did you ever call for help or call 911?
No. Someone else did, I think.
Okay. I'm going to publish what's already been admitted as...
Anytime they ask you a question, you say no, and then they say up. I'm going to show you something real quick. They're about to definitely let you hear yourself or see yourself doing something that you just said you didn't do. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. And that's that feedback is coming from the courtroom. They was in there. This is a big production going on in Fulton County. Shout out to my man Ant for checking in with me. Yeah, here y'all go.
The Yes, police over here on the north side of McDaniel.
North side of McDaniel. Why did you shoot?
Yeah. At Harold living in the barber shop. Somebody don't got shot.
Call for the ambulance, don't hang up. When Mama said, do not hang up.
Ms. Farmer, was that you on that call?
Yes, they do sound like me. Yeah.
You said that do sound like me. That's funny. But yeah, so I just thought that was funny. So Hubbard Parker essentially has been shown to be untrustworthy. He was up there. I'm not gonna say he was lying. He is 60 years old, so he could have just forgot. They asked him like, "Hey, did you call the police?" He said, "No, I didn't call the police." And then they played the clip that he for sure called the police. Then they said something like, "Did you give the police any video surveillance from that incident?" He was like, "No, I didn't. My dad handled all that. I didn't do it, and my dad is dead, so he can't even tell you all about it." And then after that, he's done. He had nothing. And then they asked him multiple times, pretty much, you're not the one who spoke to the police about the video. He's like, "Nah, that wasn't me. That was my dad." And then they brought in Wednesday Detective Teague, and Detective Teague is the video extraction specialist that works in the Homeland Security Division at Atlanta Police Department. Right? He's the one that Detective Gaither was talking about multiple times, and Detective Dennis. So Teague is the specialist as far as extracting video. Then they showed him a video of like the people in the barbershop, and he said, "Who did you speak to about getting video from that incident?" And he was like, "I spoke to that man right there, Hubbard Parker, the one to the left and the little bald." So it was like, so Hubbard Parker, everything he said is pretty much wiped out. His testimony meant nothing. And I mean, it was not related to anything anyway, so it didn't really matter. So pretty much Detective Teague he was there to, give the foundation for the video surveillance of the actual shooting. They showed the shooting, but they did not actually show Nut kind of went, Donovan Thomas went off camera, so we really couldn't see him like get shot, but we see the shooting start. And I'm gonna play that clip for y'all, so we can play this. Hold on, let me play the clip for y'all. And like I said, you can't really see anything, so it's not like a graphic situation or anything like that. But you do see where the shooting started happening at. And this is kind of crazy to me. It's no audio, so I could talk over it. This was a wild scene to me right here.
Yes.
Because look how many people standing like right there. Now, Nut is the person down in the bottom right with camouflage on. I don't know if y'all can see that it's camouflage, but Nut is the person down in the bottom right now. He's walking up the sidewalk. It looks like a white hat with like camouflage clothing. And then that's when the shooting part happens. And so pretty much that was all Detective Teague was there for, is to talk about what happened in that video so that they could bring that video into evidence, right? So that's what he was there for. And he served his purpose. That was pretty, I would say, important. That was very important, actually, because, I didn't, all of this time, they've been kind of, especially Max Shard, Shannon Stillwell's attorney, all this time, they've been kind of making it seem like there was video surveillance that was missing. So I think that video right there was pretty good. I mean, I think that video hurts the state, though. I don't really understand like some of the details that they've been giving to the public, and some of the details that they've been using to kind of shape this case up don't make sense at all now after seeing that video. So, excuse me. So, but I mean, hey, they wanted to move forward with this case and this overt act here. So, that's what they decided to do. Okay, so now, and I'm gonna say this now, and we can back it up with some stuff in the future. When I look at this video, and it's like in the what's going on? Who was that? Jerome Street. What's going on? So when I look at this video and when I listen to the details, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. When you listen to what Reginald Hendricks said, and when you listen to what just different people were saying, and when you listen to even what Derek Wise was saying, who was a barber at A&M Barbershop, it's feeling to me like Nut, and respectfully, he was set up by somebody on his side. I'm not gonna lie, and that's not to say that some people that might be affiliated with YSL wasn't involved, but it seems like the setup came from his side of the fence, honestly. Because when you hear, so then we could talk about the witnesses that came up after this. When you listen to, first of all, when you see that video, right, they standing there. And then when you listen to Barber Derek Wise say that Nut was in their barbershop, in A&M Barbershop, getting a haircut. And then Mr. George told him, hey, you got to move your truck out of our parking lot because we're about to close up the gate. So then Nut takes his truck, moves it over to the parking lot next door, which is another barbershop, Hair Unlimited, moves it over there. Then he's just hanging around congregating. And then according to Derek Wise, 10 minutes later, somebody rolls down the streets and starts shooting at them. 10 minutes after he moved. So Nut wouldn't even have been over there, right? So it's like somebody said, hey, he's over there now. Like, now come down the street. It's like that because, and then another detail that we ended up finding out, and again, we will talk about this in a little bit when I get to the clips, is that he was standing in front of Hair Unlimited when somebody started shooting, right? Nut tries to run in the barbershop, and Hair Unlimited, to escape the shooting, they locked the door on him. Now, we talking about what people described out there was a machine gunfire, right? So what would make somebody inside the barbershop say, the first thing that I want to do when somebody's shooting a machine gun is lock the door so nobody can come in here? You could tell that it's a drive-by. Like, you can hear the gun. They say, multiple people have said, you can hear the gunfire moving down the street. So what would make you, like, what if somebody's trying to take cover? Why would you lock the door? There's only one person standing at the door, according to the witnesses. Nut was like about to go into the barbershop, or he had just come out the barbershop. Well, we know he didn't just come out because he was standing outside when they were shooting, but he was trying to go in, right? So the fact that he was like right by the door and then somebody locked it immediately is very telling to me, right? So not only did the shooters know that he was at the barbershop, They knew which barbershop he was in front of. And then somebody in the barbershop just so happened to lock the door when the closest person to that door to get away from the shooting was Nut. You see what I'm saying? So it's a very peculiar situation. It's kind of sad, it's kind of sad that it happened like that, but there's so many grimy people out here, you just never know. And we're going to get to more and more how, like I said, this case they're trying to put together does not make any sense. Let me see what K-Way said. The defense missed an opportunity to follow up on a statement. Even if the jury heard, if this is a long case, they still should have followed up. K-Way, tell me what they should have followed up on so I can follow what you're saying. Jerome Street said, didn't the witness on the stand say somebody called somebody and locked the door on his car? Okay, I get it. I messed up. I thought it was the car. I didn't know it was the barbershop that locked the door. Yeah, it was the barbershop. Somebody inside the barbershop started. Now, we know what's going on. They said that this was they called machine gun. So somebody probably had a Glock with a switch on it. The way Reginald Hendricks described it was a 100-round drum. A few people said it was an assault rifle. So pretty much this is rapid fire. You really don't even have time to think for real. You just want to get down. But they had the wherewithal. We could put wherewithal. They had the wherewithal to lock the door as if somebody is outside doing a drive-by and going to jump out the car and come running the barbershop. So that's fishy. That's fishy right there. But anyway, let's just keep on progressing through this thing. But I just skipped forward ahead so I could try to connect some dots a little bit because I was like, whoa, it's kind of crazy. So then on that day, on Wednesday, on Wednesday, the internet inside the courthouse, the courtroom went down. So I guess the state or the defense wasn't able to access files that they needed to access to continue on with the day. So day 3, in front of the jury was over, but they had some after hours off the rec, whatever you want to call it, sidebar. They was arguing. They had argument without the jury being there. I forget what it's called. Right. And this is where I feel like now it just makes this case don't even make sense now at this point. At least as far as the Nut killing goes, it makes no sense at all.